like us to stand, sit?
Stanley, you might as well stay.
Okay.
Just on behalf of the Riverhead Clergy Council, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to do this and to pray with you, and to also let you know that on a consistent basis you're prayed for in our congregations as well. Okay. We all need it. Oh God, may a powerful spiritual awakening grip our nation and our communities. May you provide for the needy during times of economic challenge, and particularly during the harsh winters. May people of faith and all those people of goodwill stand strong together for morality and for greater sense of justice. May God grant strength and protection to those who are suffering. And may God grant wisdom, courage, and integrity to all who serve in government, so that all we seek from our God may be more easily attained. May God grant to our citizens a more grateful heart and a spirit of thanksgiving and cooperation to work with one another, with government, and with community organizations to better the lives of all. We ask this to the Lord our God. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. That's Reverend Dunkley from St. John Evangelist Church in Riverhead. Thank you very much, sir, for coming in. East End Arts Council. Pat, where are you?
I'm right here.
Do you want us to come down, or how do you want to? Do we have
I don't know
the
if
winners
we have
here?
our winners here or not. So
Well, we'll come down so we. No, just use this one.
I know, it's hard to pull it off because of that.
Sarah?
the table. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Pat Snyder from East End Arts. We, for the second year, did a window decorating contest in empty storefronts on Main Street. We had 15 windows decorated, and we have the benefit of our town board who contributed the funds for the prize money. So, yay!
Let's announce the winners, Pat. Do we
winners.
know if anybody's here?
I don't know, but I
Doesn't
guess
look
we'll
like it.
find out, huh? So the way it worked was that our voters, we had 115 voters who voted first, second, and third prize, and we tallied up the numbers. Should we start with winner number one? Or
Sure.
you want a little bit of...
Sure.
Let's build up.
Let's build up, okay. So we had a tie for third place, and the tie for third place was with both scoring 56 points, was the Red Collection. It's the new store on Main Street. Yay. And the window entitled J Jam, which was headed by Nancy Morrow. So each of these each of these winners will get 3 tickets to Atlantis, or Long Island Aquarium. And the second prize, with a score of 67 points, was LaFace Construction, Anne-Marie LaFace. And the first prize went to Occupy North Pole, the window that had this a little Occupy North Pole with the little elves and their signs. Why does Santa get all the milk and cookies? So that was the winner with 137 points. So again, the first prize was $500. Second prize was $125, and that's all thanks to our town board.
Pat, thank you on behalf of the town board. Thank you for doing that. It brightened up Main Street, and keep up the good work, and congratulations to those winners I'm sorry they weren't here to receive the checks. Take care, thank you. All right, do we have, okay. Well, we're gonna do the public hearing, I guess. All right, let's go back.
See what he wants to do. Did you?
Let's go back.
You were gonna present it.
Does he want to read it?
Okay. He's gonna present it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yes, sir, come on up. You want to present something to the town board?
Yes. Will it be appropriate here, or?
Yes, up there.
Yeah. 2011 is rapidly closing. I want to wish the town board pleasantries for 2012. But as a Vietnam veteran, I'm here to remind the board and remind the citizens of Riverhead that there is a new movie in town called War Horse. And that War Horse represents war with the Doughboys in World War I. And past that, we now have World War II. We have the Korean conflict. We have Vietnam. We have the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and the continuation of men and women that are serving presently in uniform. There's a forgottenness of those individuals that are presently serving, and the idea that every day, of every hour, 24/7, there's somebody guarding our independence. I recently, or in the last year or two, presented a Blue Star flag to the Suffolk County Legislature that has it on display. In World War I and World War II, individual households used to display the Blue Star flag with a white field and a red border, indicating a member of their household who was serving. And the stars would increase by the number of individuals that would be serving from that household. Sadly, that star of blue would change to gold in case of their demise through war. In any case, the Suffolk County Legislature presently has it on display. The towns of Huntington, the towns of Brookhaven Town, I recently gave the town of Babylon with Steve Malone as a former supervisor, now presently county executive-elect. I am now on my verge to requesting Governor Cuomo, who's basically our chief in concern in association with military, commander-in-chief in New York State, to display the Blue Star flag and to change the New York Thruway and the Long Island Expressway to the Blue Star Highway. I'm here today to not only to display, but to give the Brookhaven, the Riverhead Town Board a Blue Star flag to display for the residents of the town who are serving.
Sir, could you give us your name?
Yeah, my name is Mike DePaoli. I'm a Vietnam veteran.
Mike, where would that be? Would it be appropriate for us to fly that, say, below our POW-MIA flag?
Yes, yes, it would.
Okay.
Once again, it's the Blue Star flag. It can increase by the number of stars, by those that are serving. But I know it's a proud flag. I know it's something that reminds us every day of the individuals that are defending our democracy 24/7. And I hope that the town board displays it for its citizens that are presently serving.
I think we'd fly it over our town hall. Well, not quite over our town hall, but in front of our town hall.
So I'd be most pleased to display.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you for presenting that to us.
Sure.
We're coming.
We want to shake your hand. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay.
Can we get a picture with it?
Yeah, turn around, yeah, come over here.
Come over here.
Here, take that. Sure.
You can do it vertical or across.
Yeah, well, we
I don't know what the.
There you go.
Hold it up a little more, so it's not behind the chair.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be off to a good start next year, aren't we?
Let's just say it's proud to be American.
That's right.
Happy 2012.
I want to recount.
This right after you presented a check to Occupy something.
Yes, I did notice that. I'm gonna have to go look at that one a little more closely now. Sure, that was very nice.
Want me
We
to
will,
go?
we will put that up. We'll fly it proud.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you call and give Diane your name and address, please?
Yeah, you know what, I do have.
You have his address?
Well, let's see, yes, I have a cell phone.
Would
I'll
you
take
like us
his
to
address.
frame it or fly it? I think
you
it's fly it.
can display it. In other words, you can display it and maybe indicate, you do a little write-up on it. Suffolk County Legislature has it in Riverhead and also in Hong Kong. Probably just display it so the town residents can see.
Okay.
Would be most
How
appreciated.
can we, I tell you where I'd like to fly another flag, is our Roman Memorial, where we have the two fighter planes.
Yes.
So if there's a way to get another one.
I'll see that you can notice.
Here. Okay? Okay?
Absolutely.
And this way,
Well,
I'm sorry, I have your.
he's a Marine, give it to him.
Phone number, but you want me to give the
Um,
address too.
George, can you pass the dog sheet?
You're gonna.
Mandy here?
Would you like to announce?
No, you Mandy. I think you need it. I know Mandy.
All right.
Yeah, give me please.
Now we welcome, for your viewing pleasure, Mandy. Mandy's going to be dancing to a tune. Oh no, Mandy's a dog. Well, that's a strong-looking dog. Mandy is 2 years old. It's a boxer American Staffordshire Terrier. Gender female, 2 years old, and she's looking for a loving home. How long's Mandy been at the shelter?
No. It's America. It's not.
Tim Gannon's computer's over there.
So Mandy's been homeless for 6 months now at the shelter, so if anybody wants to adopt Mandy, it's a good-looking dog right there.
He's older than us.
I'm always surprised. Oh, you want some? Oh, you're gonna find somebody?
Mandy.
I thought you were giving me something.
hey, you're ready. Ready, over here.
That's why I thought somebody was coming in to sing, Mandy. All right, well, Mandy's available. Look how sweet she is. Very good-looking dog, and likes dog bones.
By looking glass. They're going 72.
So, is there any takers in the audience here? Mr. Zaleski, come on. Come on. Dog's got your name written all over it.
No, stop it.
Yes, yes.
You stop.
Finish, clean up. Come on.
Paul, that dog
You came.
looks like you, doesn't it look like Paul?
Mandy.
That's the one. You can stop.
All right. Well, very friendly dog. Oh, really? Oh, well, hey, last month's dog, what was last month's dog? Ben was adopted a day after her showing last month, so you might want to get in there. Mandy looks like she's a good-looking dog. You might want to get in there right away. All righty. Okay. We are. I guess, John, ready? Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the town board meeting of December 20th, 2011, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay, yeah, correspondence, fire districts.
There's not a whole lot on there today.
Okay.
Under fire districts, the Manorville Fire District submitted their oath of inspectors of election, certificate of inspectors of election, and certificate of the fire district secretary. And under correspondence, there were 6 emails and 25 signed letters that were hand-delivered requesting the scheduling of a public workshop for the Wading River study. and 4 emails requesting the adoption of a short-term moratorium for the Wading River corridor. And that's all I have.
Well, that's interesting. We had the public workshop. You went to the public workshop.
Well, I had the one at the church, right?
Yeah, we had 2 public workshops.
Well,
I
that
don't
was,
know what,
I think that was preliminary. I
I
don't know.
think some people missed their opportunity.
How public that was, though.
I don't know. We had it.
There they are.
They
They're
missed
on
their
the record.
opportunity. The next thing is a public hearing, and the public hearing is scheduled for 2:05, and it is now 2:20. And that is the consideration of a local law to amend Chapter 101 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Traffic Regulations, and this is 101-3, Stop and Yield Intersections, Railroad Crossings, and Parking Fields. John, this is another one out of your
Okay,
committee?
yes, this is just to straighten out our town code. When developers put these developments up, they put stop signs up, and they never come to us to get them in the town code. So we checked on Sandpiper Drive is the drive that goes up from Sound Avenue all the way to the end, almost to the bluff. And these are intersection streets with Sandpiper. So for safety, there should be stop signs there. So we'd just like to put them in our code. And that's it.
Okay.
So these are recognizing signs that are already there, we're just legitimizing them?
That's right.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this? Nobody wishing to be heard. We will leave this opened until, what is it, the 7th, next Friday?
4, 5, 6.
6. Friday is the 6th.
6, we'll leave this open for public comment until January 6th at 4:30 p.m. in the town clerk's office. Okay. Anybody wish to be heard on resolutions? Sal, how you doing? Merry Christmas and almost
Thanks,
Happy New
likewise.
Year.
Sal, we're trying to put you out of a job, but it was
Well, you
so
did pretty
far-
good this week. No mistake. Just a couple of questions.
Okay.
951. Can you tell me what the planned improvements are, other than just cleaning that property up?
Paying Geo.
The improvements?
Yeah, I mean, $109,000 for a park.
We're supposed to be putting a building up there so people can launch their canoes.
And a parking lot.
Where the Weeping Willow was?
Yes, on a
I
parking
thought we
lot.
had a canoe launch further up.
That's the state.
That's the state.
The
Now
state
the
has
town's
one.
gonna have one.
The state has one further up near Fort.
This was all part of a grant that we received.
Okay, so the 109's coming out of a grant rather than out of the budget?
Right.
It was a matching grant. To my recollection, it's a matching grant, so 50% is coming out of our budget, 50%.
And I think the contractual expenses for the demolition.
Was done before.
Well, that's
our
the
time.
from. I'm worried about the to.
Well, it's going 2 improvements, which will be the
Yeah,
parking lot
right.
and the canoe. I didn't even realize, I think they started work up there because there's fencing up
They
there
start
now. I
cleaning
don't know
up.
if the
It's
neighbors.
being cleaned up now.
Yeah.
952. The serial bond proceeds? Is that another condition of the grant? Or is the town, is that, I take it that that's,
Bill, 952,
FEMA.
FEMA Horton Avenue, it's $2.6 million FEMA funds and $900,000 serial bond proceeds.
Yes, so that was the CPF bonds that we borrowed. They're already borrowed, we're now applying them to
Okay.
Horton Avenue as our portion of the grant. We had to contribute 25% in order to match.
Isn't the county contributing 12.5% of this?
Well, it was vague as to how much is ours, so we put that much aside, so we had that just in case if the county does, or if we use forced labor for it, we won't have to use that much money. The rest of the CPF funds, if you remember, was put back into
Right.
the CPF fund. So whatever we don't spend of that 900, we'll go
Should
back to
just
the
go back
CPF
into
fund.
debt service.
Thank you.
okay. 963. It doesn't say anywhere in here what the total cost of the professional services agreement is. It just says that there's a $15,000. It says plus $15,000 for codification services, including editorial analysis. I was just wondering what the total cost of this package is.
recollection was the 15,000 was the total cost, but let's see.
Well, that's not what this says. This says,
I think we have.
All right, we need Anne Marie in here because I can't answer this question.
I think we already have services with them. This is
Right.
just additional cost to what we already paid.
I didn't think that it was additional cost, because when I questioned it at work session, it said that it was all inclusive. That's what I was told.
I thought they couldn't give you an exact number depending on how much work the existing code.
You know, we pay a certain amount of money every year.
well, the way this reads, it reads that there's a contractual figure plus $15,000 for specific things. And I was just wondering, you know, is it 50 plus 15? Is it 10 plus 15? How much are we spending to do this work?
We pay a we'll get Anne Marie Prudenti to come in. Is she coming?
We'll look together.
Next.
965. This is the transcribing. And I don't remember what we paid last year, but my question here is
Same thing.
$350 a page? We have an idea what we pay a total cost on this thing?
Like $8,000 a year.
We budgeted
6,000?
6,000? All right. Because I think last year we talked about it, and I mentioned that there were applications available that transcribe.
Yeah, we wouldn't use that.
Okay, one last question. On 971, East Creek Docking Facility Funds, $156,818.44. Is that for renovations for the bulkheading and stuff?
To pay bills, you mean?
Yeah, to pay bills.
Is that on the first page?
Yep, on the first page of 971.
Well, Bill Rother can come in, but we did a budget transfer. I think it was at the last board meeting to build the East Creek docking facility, the 156,818. Is that part of that budget transfer we did last board meeting to pay part of the expenses for the rest of the park over there?
Yes.
So this comes out of the docking facility?
This is coming out of East Creek instead of the Parks Reserve Fund. Originally it was slated to come out of there, but because we moved it over to EPCAL, it's coming out of East Creek instead because it's...
What we're doing is we're using that facility is all one facility. So the docking facility actually has a positive cash flow, so
Right.
we use that.
So it's
funds to
funding
maintain
the
facility.
improvements to the park.
For itself.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is Anne Marie coming down?
Yeah, she's on the way.
All right, does anybody else wish to be heard? Well, if she doesn't come before that, we will be tabling that resolution, I guess. Let's, Diane, call the resolutions.
Oh, okay. Resolution 950.
Points call and personnel to the accounting department. Well, appoints call and personnel to the accounting department. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
This is actually one person replacing two people that we had as interns for the summer to come and inventory all of the town's assets. So I think it's a wise decision to have one person regularly come in rather than getting new interns every year, so I'll vote yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 951.
To Weeping Willow Capital Improvement Project for budget adjustment. So moved. And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 952.
Fort Avenue Open Space Capital Project, budget adoption. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 953.
Information Technology
Oh, stay there,
Department.
Anne Marie. Yes, we're. Go ahead.
Information Technology Department budget adjustment, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Yeah, keep
Okay.
going until we get to the resolution.
Okay. Resolution 954.
A resolution setting fees for taxi cabs and vehicles for hire pursuant to Chapter 99 of the Riverhead Town Code. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I want to commend Councilman Dunleavy for this legislation that is taking effect now. It has to do with all taxi cab companies that do business within the town of Riverhead and pick people up here to make sure that our residents are safe in the travels in the taxi cab. So, yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 955.
955 promotes a heavy equipment operator in Riverhead Town Highway Department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
These are people that have been working out of class, and before the civil service department jumps on us and tells us we're doing really something wrong and could possibly fine us, we have to promote these people, so I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 956.
Promotes an automotive equipment operator in the Riverhead Town Highway Department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 957.
No, not this
Promotes a
next guy.
construction equipment operator in the Riverhead Town Highway Department. So moved.
And second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
That's what I'm thinking. You might have his father come up and
Zaleski?
speak about him a little bit?
Zaleski, I don't know.
Maybe we should get him up there.
Yes, Zaleski.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution
And he's a
adopted.
darn good welder.
Resolution 958.
Reassigns the salary of senior account clerk typist. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Abstain.
Gabrielson.
Did we discuss this in work session?
Yeah,
You were here.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I need a refresher because
This
okay.
Are you changing your vote?
No, I just didn't recognize. I will change my vote. Yes.
You're a yes? Okay. Okay. Gabrielson.
I'll have to abstain. I wasn't here for this one.
Okay. Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, she's doing a great job.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
How are you feeling, George? You were.
Resolution 959.
I'm good. I shook it down.
Resolution 959 changes the status of a groundskeeper 1 in the Building and Grounds Division of the Town Engineers Department. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
I'm very happy to vote yes to Howard vote. Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yeah, what we're doing is we have 3 part-timers that work during the summertime and into the fall. And what we're doing is we're changing his title from part-time to full-time, and we're not going to hire the other 2 in the summer or the spring or the fall. So he's taking up. So it's really not costing the town that much money. I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 960.
Reassigns the salary of a principal account clerk. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yeah, I'm happy to do this. Gene Malowski has done a lot for this town in saving us money in insurance purposes and other things. So I'm glad that we're reassigning her salaries. I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 961.
Reinstates a senior account clerk typist. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes, it's just, right, this makes her a senior account clerk typist, which is she used to be, and then she stepped down when she worked for the town attorney. There's no money involved here, so it's just her place. Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 962.
Authorize the town attorney to order appraisals for real properties located at Horton Avenue, Riverhead, in furtherance of a grant HMGP 1899. So moved.
A second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
This is gonna help Horton Avenue. We're gonna, buy 9 houses, and we're going to, make it a wetlands, and, move the people out, and they're gonna move to a different, and the county's helping us with this, so, I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 963.
Our esteemed deputy town attorney is going to give us not a lesson, but some insight as to this resolution, because I thought, actually the microphones are on the table anyway.
are they?
Yeah.
I think
Good question.
The financial aspect of this, we pay a certain amount of money for services, general code publishers for publishing.
Correct.
Give us the background, not the background, but
Every time the code is amended, what they do is they'll send us updates, they'll insert it into the code. It ranges from anywhere annually from $9,000 to $13,000 a year. Depends on how many amendments we have. That we're going to continue to pay. And that's reflected in the now therefore be it resolved. In addition to that, and what was presented to the town board, and the town board supported it and asked me to draft the resolution, was $15,000 for codification services. We're going to change it to a 1 volume or 2 volume 8.5 by 11. It's going to go through all the updates. It's going to put it online. And in addition to that, what they're providing for that figure is post-editorial analysis. And that was the legal analysis, matching it up to current New York State statutes, identifying any conflicts within the code, going through all the fine provisions, comparing that to other municipalities. And essentially, since they did the presentation originally before the town board, they actually prepared a very nice package for the town of Riverhead to a savings of at least $6,000.
so I was mistaken.
So you're getting the full breadth of all services that they offered.
For 15, whereas
this-
before it was just one service for 15.
Correct.
And this
Correct.
is also, which is something that should interest the public. If you go onto our website, any proposed legislation that we've had public hearings on that has yet to be adopted, that proposed legislation will be listed on the left-hand page, or left-hand side of the page, and it'll show the legislation that's under consideration. So if anybody had anything that they wanted to write in within the time period, they could. But you could read the legislation and see what was currently proposed and whether or not it was adopted.
So depending on the amendments, we're still going to pay for that supplementation service. Between $9,000 and $13,000 it runs. And then for the $15,000 payable over the course of 3 years, and the service should only take 18 months, but they're allowing us to take
I
it in,
think the biggest
pay
thing
it
out
in
of
3
this
years.
expenditure, which, I mean, we've been kicking this around for years about having somebody go through this code book with the inconsistencies and
Right.
you know, and tightening up more or less to make sure that it all says the same thing throughout. That's a bigger service than.
I mean, they're going to completely redo the table of contents. They're going to make recommendations to the town board, even as far as the order in which the chapters should appear, depending on the content of the chapters. They're going to get rid of these sections that say reserve that we haven't used for 20, 30 years, and really make it a workable code.
And a lot easier to read, where you
Absolutely.
don't have to flip from the front of the book to the back of the book, and it keeps referring you to different sections of the code, so it's a good thing.
And, plus we're getting 6 code books for the town of Riverhead.
Included in that.
Included in this, and if anybody wants to purchase a code book, they can purchase one, through the town of Riverhead. And,
Yeah, included in that price,
Just
we're getting
including-
6 for free.
yes, we get 6 for free.
But it's
So
online.
now you'll be able to buy code books from the town clerk again.
Or go online.
Diane's not happy with that.
No, it's
Yes.
okay, that's
Online
okay.
one.
Yeah, so really you're getting all the services that they offered and described to you
Right.
for a reduced cost since their presentation.
It's unfortunate because everybody thinks, oh, you can do away with code books with computers, but you can't. If you're at a public hearing or if you're at court, you know, the judges
It's
are going to take
impossible.
your computer and say, oh, yeah, they will take a code book.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we didn't move this, John?
Authorize supervisor to execute a professional service agreement with General Code for code declassification and adding services of our town code to the town of Riverhead. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 964.
This is authorizing the town clerk to publish and post a public notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 108 entitled Zoning of the Riverhead Town Code. The addition to Article 23, Residential RC District. So moved.
And seconded.
Tommy Lissandro have something to do with this legislation?
Yes.
Did he?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Nice job, John, yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 965.
Authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Jacqueline O'Sullivan for board transcribing. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 966.
Appoints a marriage officer. So moved.
Then seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Congratulations.
Resolution 967.
Ratifies the reappointments of registrar, deputy registrar, and sub-registrar of vital statistics. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 968.
This reauthorizes notice to bidders for maintenance and emergency services contract for Riverhead Water District project number RDWD 1101. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 969.
2009 Grangerville Park Comfort Station Capital Improvement Project. Budget adjustment. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
We keep stealing all our money. Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Just flush that out.
Resolution 970.
Amends resolution number 926. So moved.
Then seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please. What are we changing? Oh, start date
Start date.
versus
Start
date.
date.
Okay.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 971.
Pay the bills, please.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, would anybody like to discuss anything that's before the board or not before the board?
I'd love to, but I'll wait.
So I got a snow yet. What do you want to discuss? Oh, I'm sorry.
Merry Christmas, Sean.
Afternoon.
Dominique Mendez, Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation. The RNPC is a coalition of resident, civic, and environmental groups advocating for the quality of life and rural character of Riverhead, representing over 1,000 Riverhead residents, including members of 7 member civic groups. I'm here today because I'm extremely concerned. Over a year ago, the RNPC and several coalition partners repeatedly petitioned this board and the planning board for a generic environmental impact statement to study the cumulative impacts of the then 4 commercial proposals in Wading River. It was clear to us that the combined impacts would have been found to be so detrimental to this area that some of these proposals would have been altered or even altogether eliminated, as these proposals, they would have resulted in a drastic change to Wading River. Of course, though both boards rejected the comprehensive study of these impacts, the town board did decide to move forward with the corridor study, which finally got underway a few months ago. We anticipated that a fair review of the situation would result in rezoning consistent with the vision there has been for Wading River for over a quarter of a century, and that this would result in the withdrawal of some of these plans and the prevention of others in favor of projects more compatible with the small town of Wading River. Unfortunately, it seems that the corridor study may not be going in a direction that would help prevent Wading River from being overrun by commercial development. I think we all know that the town has just approved a plan in the study area, the Nightland Mall, which is probably the most objectionable in terms of where it is and the impact it could have on Wading River. That happened because this board would not enact a moratorium that would have prevented that plan and other site plans in the area from being approved right now. The Nightland approval makes it harder for the planners to favorably rezone anything in the study area, and that's one of the reasons the RNPC filed a lawsuit against this town for that premature approval, which we believe violates zoning, state environmental law, and puts the entire area at risk. But that's not the only reason I'm concerned. There's also the public workshop that was supposed to be in Wading River one evening where we were supposed to have roundtables to discuss BFJ's preliminary findings, and where we were supposed to speak directly to BFJ so they might revise their recommendations based on our comments.
Actually, they had that.
No, we didn't. I was there. It was not.
You did. And the problem is we did it twice, and the RNPC and members of the RNPC took it upon themselves. No, you had it. And you took it upon yourselves to lambast the town and town officials, and you squandered an opportunity.
This is crazy to say that was a public workshop. You know it wasn't a public workshop.
For the 1,000 members of the RNPC, because what the RNPC is doing is splintering the town. They did not participate in a meaningful way. The things, and Councilman Wooten was there, I mean, the things that were discussed had no relevance to the zoning. We came to you asking you for your input as part of this workshop.
This was not a public workshop. That was a focus group.
This was done
and it was not open to the public.
In Brookhaven, and you know, we will have time for other input, but you really did. The RNPC squandered that opportunity.
Well, Jill and I were there. I'm not sure that was a public as much as it was a focus.
No, it was not a public workshop. You're right, Jim.
Small group.
It wasn't, I don't know what you mean by public.
It isn't. Yes, you do. We've discussed it many times. A public workshop was like the Brookhaven Corridor Study had. They had it. They had a focus group, which was different, which was a closed meeting. We discussed it here that it would not be open to the public. You guys also didn't feel that people would be able to speak freely in that sort of a situation, and this was before BFJ would really get into anything. Then there was a focus group. There were focus groups. In Brookhaven, there were numerous focus group meetings. I actually attended one at the later stage. That was completely different. That's open to all the public.
There's one for the businesses and one for the public.
Right, but that was not a public workshop. It was not preliminary findings that BFJ presented like they did at Brookhaven.
In the form, we'll have hearings, we'll have work sessions.
You'll have the legally required public hearing that you're legally required to. In a work session, you would normally have it, which is during the day.
If you truly represent, which I don't know that you do, but if you truly represent 1,000 people, having you at a meeting with an opportunity to discuss the zoning, in theory, we reached out to 1,000 people, but your representatives didn't do that. You lambasted the town and the town officials.
Well, we don't want to go in and rehash how. We don't want to rehash this. There was a discussion between Ms. Lewis and one person that got heated, and Jill Lewis did come out and say, basically, she wasn't sure why we were having this because this had already been decided, and it didn't put it on a good tone. And there was a discussion heated between her and one other person, but that was not the whole meeting. That was really limited to those two.
No, the purpose of the meeting was to invite certain key business owners, most of the landowners we spoke with, and then certain key civic owner representatives and other special interest groups, and for you to provide input. And
we did provide input,
we could do it.
Yes, the public workshop they had in Brookhaven. That's what we're asking for. We were promised.
People are invited to businesses and the public are there for one reason, and that's to get positive input from those people to move this along and have everybody think of what they've spoke about, not a negative session, which I'm hearing that this was a negative session from your group.
Well, I'm not, since I was there, I could probably speak a little more clearly. I think there was two. Now, I didn't go to the first one. The first one dealt with businesses and stakeholders.
And these were focus groups, they were called, not the public workshops.
The second one that I went to with Jill was more for the civics and the community, although it was a relatively small group. And yeah, there was somewhat of a heated exchange between your
Two people.
advocate or somebody who hired
It wasn't
somebody
me,
for you
actually.
and Jill. But that being set aside, I thought it was pretty productive.
Mm-hmm. And we had a long, right, and we had a long document we provided afterwards with plenty of input. It was 7 pages. I think I copied you on all of it, and that was right after that. It was a different purpose than the public workshop would be, and BFJ knows full well they had them at Brookhaven. They were always part of the discussion here. They were on your schedule. They had been discussed in the quote, and it was specific as to what they were.
Whatever was discussed, see, you like to interpret the facts for your own benefit. What is in the public document, what is in the contract is what we've done, which is what we shared with the community when we were signing it. It is no different. But I went one step further. You have a representative, a woman, and I don't remember her name, out of East. And I reached out to her because she has portrayed to me in a letter that she is RNPC's representative on this now, not Mr. Amper anymore. So I reached out to her, and I said, you know, we're going to invite you to a work session, and when BFJ is discussing this, and you'll have additional input.
She's not our full representative on everything on the Wading River Corridor study. We have contracted her, and she is involved in a limited basis, but we would decide as we are paying her when and where that would be.
Okay, but that's
through donations
not what the letter says. The letter says she's representing you for the purpose of this issue. So I've done everything that you've asked, and you guys keep twisting it into things that are different from what you've asked. So go ahead. I interrupted. I apologize. Continue.
Yeah, but just to answer Councilman Wooten, I didn't say I attended. I said I didn't attend, but I heard. So I know he attended, and I did not say I attended.
Oh, I know.
Okay?
Right, and it's a miscarriage to say we squandered an opportunity. It was not a public workshop. It was a focus group. It was not open to the public. It was open to a select group of people. We said, and it was before there were any findings for us to talk about. And that's the key part. Is by the time you have a public hearing, this is kind of a done deal, and there's not much room for public input. And that's not.
Did you just come to this town board? Do you have any public hearings that we've had that we don't go forward with? You can't say that because we have a public hearing, it's a done deal.
Normally, we would be involved earlier in the process.
We don't adopt.
Right, like the site plans we had where there was public input, and we had to put that out for a rehearing because there were so many changes that were made to the site plan legislation that was being proposed. So, but
There's no ordinance, and we at least a third we don't.
But that's
go
why
to adopt, so
we
nothing's
have
a done
public
deal.
hearings, so we get the public input, and that's like the no parking on Coleman Street. We got public input on that last meeting, and it's going back to the parking district to rethink what with the public hearing, so we'll probably have enough. But that's why we have these public hearings.
And I was always of the impression when we were talking about the Wading River Corridor study that it would be more productive to have a few people that represented a larger body to sit at a table and discuss this legislation. I don't recall, and maybe we should replay the work session tape, but I recall that that's the direction that we were headed in, was a small focus group of people that were familiar with our code, with what the uses were on the properties, so that it could be more productive in a timely fashion, because the people that we hired to do this Wading River Corridor study charge by the hour. So to have a public forum where you have 100 people that are standing up and they're, when Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition has stated on numerous occasions that they represent 1,000 people throughout the town of Riverhead. So we were hoping that they were coming to you with their input and that you were coming to us.
It was too early in the process for us to come. They're supposed to be able to, just like they did in Brookhaven, present their plan, and then they can meet in roundtables and you discuss it. And there's that important element, and that is in the quote. It's on, and I can show the press that it's factual. And
in your own litigation, almost a year ago, because I read it, because you tend to spin the words as, or at least your attorney tends to pick and choose what is said at these things. I said to the people of Wading River, what is it that you want to see? Over a year ago, you cannot say that what BFJ did was too late. You and your group and the Civic should have been thinking for the past 6-8 months what you wanted to see there. So it's not too late.
I think there might be some confusion also. There is going to be, obviously, there will be a public hearing not only to adopt the plan, but if there's any subsequent zoning. So if anyone has comments at the time of plan, when you go to make any changes, make any zone changes, you can incorporate the public's comments at that time. So there is more than one opportunity.
It's very similar to what we did with EPCAL with the RKG study, where they made recommendations to us, and we may not agree with all the recommendations that the planners have presented to us, but that would be addressed at the time of zoning, which comes after the public hearing for the adoption of the.
But if the comp plan update is screwed up, then the zoning will just reinforce that, and so it's important that the comp plan says is consistent with the vision and is consistent with certain things. So you're not supposed to adopt zoning that contradicts that. So it's kind of it's already kind of set. The direction's set.
Those are recommendations, Dominique. That's in a comprehensive plan. Those are recommendations by the person that is preparing the comprehensive plan.
Right.
And it's up to the town board to decide in there what is practical for all the residents of the town of Riverhead.
So you're allowed to pass zoning that is in direct contradiction of the master plan? I didn't think so. So, I mean, we're getting on the legal issues.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
we'll get into it because we're in a suit now, right?
Yeah,
Huh?
being sued.
So,
They're kind of interesting,
that's right. So I don't think
5
we-
hours.
Well, we're not really discussing that.
Approval and litigation.
But the comprehensive plan that was presented in 2003 and was adopted in 2003, there was zoning that contradicted it. So, because there were board members at the time, the previous board, that decided that there were things in the comprehensive plan that they liked and they didn't like. And so when they adopted the zoning was different than what was proposed or what was put out in the comprehensive plan.
I think it's an oversimplification. I'm not sure that that's actually what happened. There were also contradictions, but let's.
That is what happened.
Yeah.
We reached out to your representative. Now you're telling me she's not your representative. We invited them to a work session, which is where the board.
She can
sits.
speak on our behalf if when we contract her to speak on our behalf. The residents have pooled their money and are paying for this.
But that's not what the letter said. So if you don't want me speaking to her, we won't have her come. We'll have a work session. You know how I run the work sessions. It's like a variety show, and we take comments from the audience all over the place. And you will be welcome to sit and talk about it before we go to the public hearing. In fact, the site plan public hearing is one perfect example. We allowed you to comment on it as we were formulating it. We'll do the same thing, and then we'll have a public hearing. So there's no way we're not going to have the public involved.
Well, it's during the day. And Helga wants to interrupt for a second. Hold on. Let me
I just want to ask you a question. I don't know what all these things are called, whether it's a public hearing or whatever it's called. We thought we were going to have a meeting of some sort with the people that were doing the study. Hear what they wanted to recommend and what they suggested, and then have them hear how we feel about what they are suggesting.
That's called a public hearing.
Right.
But we're
Well,
gonna,
I don't
we're
remember
gonna,
being,
we're gonna
that
let
there
you.
was one that we could do that.
Well, we haven't had it yet.
Well, I thought you just said there was public comment period.
Right, he did try to say.
The
He
focus
did
group
earlier
was
say
open
that there
to
was a
public.
public workshop.
Are you
but now-
deliberately trying to make a
No.
joke out of this, or turn this all around and make us
What
look like
I'm
idiots?
saying is that we invited your group, who supposedly represents 1,000 people.
Well, I thought
to
he
a
was coming to our
public
civic
work-
meeting,
to
that's for
a-
one thing.
No.
Sid had told
No,
us we were
no,
going to
no,
meet with
no.
the representatives
No.
at some
No,
point, and then
was
that
n-
was changed.
That was never discussed. Never discussed that we were bringing BFJ to a civic association. And what we
Well, on an
did,
informal basis, I mean, it doesn't have to be
no,
But a
what we
formal meeting.
discussed was, and your group was involved in this because they had conversations back and forth the way we always do in work sessions, and we agreed to this timeline of the different things that we're going to have, and whether you call it a workshop or a focus group, I don't really care what you call it. RNPC was invited. We asked you for your comments on the legislation, that proposed legislation or not propose, but help us propose legislation. They submitted, I do remember the 7 pages. We are now going back to a BFJ will help us devise proposed legislation. They'll come, I guess, Jill, do we have a date they're coming to? January 12th. They'll come to a public town work session, and you will be able to, on a Thursday, we'll allow you to talk. I always allow people to talk if there's something glaring, and or not even glaring, just because we want to hear your input. And then we will wrap it up into a public hearing. So you're going to have plenty of opportunity to speak.
No, she's right in what Sid did, and he did say this at our civic, because we were all under this impression, every one of us who was leading this effort, that it wasn't, she was maybe a little confused, it wasn't at a Wading River Civic meeting, but he told the civic, we're going to have a public workshop, it's part of the thing, we're going to have a meeting probably at the Wading River Library, and you're going to be able to see the preliminary draft and plan and discuss it. That is what he told, that is what he said at a civic meeting, because that's what Sid, I, Dick, Jen Hartnagel, and everyone else who was part of this process truly believed. It's.
Let me clear this up. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to follow the contract. The contract provided for the 2 meetings where the business owners were going to have input and the civic groups would have input. Then we're going to have the VFJ formulate proposed findings, and not legislation, we're going to write that, findings. They're going to come to a town board work session. You call it a workshop, I call it a work session. I don't care what we call it. They're going to present it to the board. It's going to happen January 12th. Everybody's invited. It's public.
During the daytime, and
that's when business of the town takes place, Dominique. I'm sorry, that's when business of the town takes place. And for 50% of the public, it is better during the day. And you will have the availability to speak to us. We always allow the interaction. Then we will go to public, the town will solidify the findings, and we will go to public hearing. And then the town can come up and speak. So I don't want there to be any mistake. I think that's pretty much explains what we've said the entire time.
It's what you say now, yes. I understand that. That's your position. I understand that.
It's also the position of what's written in the contract.
I'll be providing some additional input to the press as far as what the schedule said and what the information in the contract and proposal is.
But I think on January 12th, when we do get the final draft, that you'll be provided a copy of that, and you can bring it back to your civic organization, and you can go through that so that you're prepared at the public hearing to address any concerns that you may have.
It's just later in the stage than we were anticipating, than Brookhaven residents got, and the public wanted a chance before that very final stage to be able to digest and look at this and have input on the recommendations, and that's what we're not being given by this board.
The only people I hear are the special interest groups of the RNPC coming in here to speak. I don't...
Did you not get 31 letters from...
Yeah, but there's no finality with calling for a public hearing, only because I can give you stacks of public hearings I got in my drawer where we went to public hearing, and there was enough controversy, enough eye-raising concerns that it pretty much died on the vine. But
there are times when that happens.
Yeah, there are times when that happens. So I wouldn't say it's a heightened end game at the public hearing. I think it's
We're not getting the same chance Brookhaven got.
Not Brookhaven, we're better.
Less public input is better. I'm not sure how that works, but okay, maybe for some.
Yeah, I'm not
So
sure.
we're being told that we're not even going to get a final document on January 12th. It's just going to be bullets based on the recommendations from the firm that we hired, and based on the 7-page letter that you submitted, and where the board wants to go, and then a final document will be drafted.
Correct.
And then we will give that out, or put that out for a public hearing.
I fully understand what you're saying.
Dominic, is we
Right,
can't,
we
we
gotta
can't,
wrap
we
this
can't influence, this project. They're doing it on their own. They listen to the business people, they listen to the civic groups, and they listen to the town, and then they put a document together that will be the best interest in the town of Riverhead. And that's all we're asking them to do, and I think they're gonna do it. They're gonna come here and talk to us about it. They'll give us a draft, talk about their draft, and then things can change from there on the public input that we get from the public, if there's any. So I think that's the best way to go. And I think that we should wrap this up because
I agree.
Yep, I just want to say a couple of more things since we digress so much, and it's very brief. It wasn't just a lack of public workshop that was extremely disconcerting. The situation is clearly dire. We had 2 more commercials, for those of you who don't know, 2 more commercial plans recently submitted for Wading River. One of them is, it's like 43,000, a shopping center. It's the 4th new shopping center proposal in Wading River.
Okay, so I'm gonna, since we're not gonna make this the Dominic Mendez show here today, I spoke to the property owner. Do you know why he's filing the site plan? It's a protective measure.
This shouldn't protect his property rights.
No, he is filing it because of what your group has done. He would not have filed this application. He had no designs immediately upon building. He was attempting to sell it. If it had not been for the RNPC and for the, well, now we've got litigation, the second set of litigation. If it hadn't been for your actions, direct actions, he wouldn't have filed that application.
So he's going to build it despite the RNPC?
He filed the application, absolutely, because he wants to lock in his property rights, because he thinks that everybody's going to take away his property rights. But if you hadn't been doing all this moratorium, change the zoning, take his property rights away, it probably would just be sitting there. So you can laugh about
Take his property rights away. No one wants to take anyone's property rights away, including ours.
Laugh about it, Dominique.
I would
but
have to laugh at that statement.
The reality is that if you speak to him, he would not have filed this but for the actions of your group. He was very content in letting the property go up for sale. And I'm sorry, but you brought this, your group brought this extra development now at this time. I'm not saying in the future it wouldn't have been developed.
Right, the underlying zoning was there for that project.
Your group brought this to a head at this particular time where it would not have been brought to a head at this particular time. Absolutely right out of their mouths.
Right, so they're going to develop their land because of the RNPC's attempt.
Yes.
He was content to negotiate
That's
with the county and see if
incredible. An incredible.
Fair price. But now also you boost the price up, because now if he gets the site plan approved, this is what he can get out of this property. So, it's a double-edged sword for everybody.
But excuse me, how would submitting a plan preserve his rights? Just submitting a plan doesn't preserve your right to the zoning, does it?
If you get through the process, the site plan approval process, and you get your building permits and build, it does. You see, the point is, Dominique, they were not ready to do this now. This would have sat for another however long until it was sold, probably till the economy turned around. And unfortunately, the pushing and the pushing and the pushing said, wait a minute, I need to do something now. And I doubt they're going to speak to you directly, but that's what's been relayed to me from them.
I'm not afraid of them building because of. I don't think people are going to build and spend millions of dollars because of this. And the underlying zoning allowed it, and this just illustrates what the underlying zoning would allow.
All right, let's continue.
And the reality is, what these proposals, these 6 proposals we have, would right now amount to an 80% increase in retail type uses. That's incredible. So yeah, we've been calling for a moratorium and a hold. I don't think anyone should be able to say we're being alarmist at this point. It was a reasonable reaction to what's going on, and it is an attempt to preserve small town Wading River, and that's what we're about. I'm not sure why that's alarming to people, but that's what we're about.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that?
A special interest group, honestly. I honestly, Dominique, I believe because Nightland is right at your doorstep, you dislike it, and you're trying to do everything that you can to stop it.
Is that what the RNPC's focus? We focus on Jamesport, worked with the Sand Park Heights people. We're all over the place.
To other preservation efforts in the town, yes.
because you would like to try to pigeonhole us that way does not make it so. You know, the reality is the Calverton Civic, the Wading River Civic, the Jamesport Civic, the Aquabog Civic, Old Vine Civic Association, Willow Ponds, they're all, are all members.
I think if they understood the tactics of the
They completely understand
If they understood the tactics of the RPC, they probably would not be involved.
the tactics. They completely understand. We're very open about our mission. Our board voted for this litigation. We do everything with our board's approval. And we have several civic officers on our board, and this is a complete mischaracterization of us again.
I mean, I'm not
Again.
The RNPC
It's very disturbing for a supervisor.
Before the election, threatened me on 3 or
What?
4 separate occasions.
Who?
The RNPC.
I threatened you. Who? You threatened me. This is outrageous. I think I'm going to leave. You threatened me. Do you want me to get the tape? I'll play it next time.
Members of your group send people
Excuse
that
me.
threaten me, Dominic.
This. What?
Absolutely.
This is a bold-faced lie. Bold-faced lie. One of many.
Mr. Biegler.
Hi.
How you doing, Eric?
I had a
more enlightening,
You want to thank us for
I know,
RFK,
I just
right?
want to get schmacked here. I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to read, but I don't like reading stuff, so forget that. Hope you guys all had a wonderful Christmas. Eric Biegler, Sound Park Heights Civic Association, Reeves Park. Just want to go through a couple of things that I thought were important as we close out 2011 and look forward to going into 2012. I have a couple of issues maybe still outstanding, some observations, and maybe some recommendations, if you don't mind, for a few moments.
Absolutely.
One, I want to say that the master plan that the town adopted in 2003 was a pretty extensive undertaking, and it goes through some changes, it goes through some modifications. I think one of the basic tenets of the master plan was the preservation of the rural character of Riverhead. I think in the year 2011 we made a huge step in preserving the rural character of Riverhead by having the county and the owner of the property on Sound and Park Road, the 4 acres, agree to sell the property to the county for preservation. It is slightly unfortunate that that agreement kind of came through at the end of the year and with a new administration going into the county, so things are kind of moving a little slow on that end of it. And what I've done here is just kind of come to you guys and say, if you can find it, to maybe draft a letter to the new administration that's coming in, maybe offer some support that purchase should continue to go through and move through expeditiously as possible.
We've made phone calls. We've met with their attorney. We haven't sent a letter. Have we sent emails?
Reaching out to the new administration today.
Yeah, we've everything we can.
I just wanted to mention that because I think that, you know, as we go through especially with the new administration, we kind of made some great strides, and I think we need to continue that to preserve Sound Avenue. In staying with the subject of preserving Sound Avenue still needs a lot of help. There's a lot of things that are slated to go on as far as developments, but I'm more concerned right now, and my group is going to kind of look a little more concerned right now about the safety issues on Sound Avenue. Sound Avenue is an old rural road. It was never built to handle cars moving at the speed that cars can move at now. It was never built to handle heavy truckloads. We've had way too many accidents on Sound Avenue. We've had way too many deaths on Sound Avenue. This town really needs to take a hard look at what they can do. And I don't mean widening Sound Avenue. I don't mean that. I mean curtailing the heavy traffic that goes down Sound Avenue.
We're in the process of doing safe streets and traffic calming with striking, so there's a lot going on next spring. So I some advance.
Staying with the master code and the master plan, it's so nice to hear that the town is taking the undertaking of going forward to try to look at the codes, to try to clear up some of the inconsistencies. I stood before this board maybe 3 or 4 months ago, talked about the inconsistency of the code for beach driving, beach parking permits, how off the wall they were. Now, I know that's a very small part of what goes on inside the code of the town of Riverhead, but if a town can't get consistency and clarity on beach parking and beach access, then how can it get clarity on zoning and planning. And no wonder why there's inconsistencies across the board. And I'm glad to see that that's going to be addressed and identified. I do have a question, though. When these inconsistencies come up, who is the designing body that dictates which of the inconsistencies is prevailing?
The inconsistent board right here.
So it will come back to our elected officials, as it should, because that's really where it needs to go. Will these changes, and I guess I'm kind of looking at the dark side of it. You may find a lot of these changes going through, so maybe you have to have public hearings on every one of them.
Yeah.
We do. Everything
So-
we change, we have to have a public hearing on.
That's good, because we really do need to clear up these inconsistencies, because there's too many interpretations that are being thrown
Only the lawyers
around
know where they are. I'd like to know where they are myself.
all over the place.
Wait, that's job security, John.
Only the lawyers
But
know
see,
where they are.
this is what this is gonna tell us, where our inconsistencies are, what has to be changed, so it goes along with something else that
What the
we've
intent is,
changed
Right.
previous. So they're gonna tell us, we'll look at it, and then we'll make those changes where possible and have public hearings where possible.
And that's
That's
absolutely excellent, and I think that that's a great move forward, because everywhere there's inconsistencies in the code.
And we're also looking to the zoning board of appeals to see the number of applications that are going before the zoning board of appeals for interpretations, because those areas of the code need to be clarified so that it's not always kicked to the zoning board to make an interpretation. There will not be any gray area. It should be black or white, so.
And that comes through this board.
Yes.
Great, that's great. Brings me to elections.
Always be great.
I want to switch over to the elections just for a quick second. By the way, congratulations to Wooten, Mr. Gabrielson, and Mr. Walter for your win. I want to say that I'm a little disappointed in the fact that elections nowadays have turned to such a nasty tone. They seem to drift away from issues. They seem to drift towards personal attacks. I'm sure this coming year, when we have a national election, it will become even more heated and more prominent. I just wish it wouldn't. I wish it would stay focused on the issues. But more importantly, in local elections, I think it needs to stay on issues. Someone told me once there's no Democratic or Republican way of plowing a road or picking up trash. It's done one way, and it needs to be done the best way possible.
But see, I'm very proud. I've never ran a negative campaign. I will never run a negative campaign. I think you have to run positive. What this town, you can do for this town. Not, what you're doing in your private life or has nothing to do with this town. It's what you can do for the town of Riverhead.
And may I just add to people who have any, and it's probably not the group that's sitting here or the group in the audience, but the group on television more than anything else, those who are looking to run for political office in this town, you need to kind of know what's going on in the town. You need to show up at a town board meeting or a planning board meeting or a zoning board meeting once in a while. I don't show up a lot, but I see the same faces all the time, and none of them were running on this year's election campaign. So
You gotta get involved.
you show up at my house promising to cut my taxes without a plan and without a knowledge of what is going on in the town. How do you expect me to vote for you? You're not going to get my vote.
Well, to be honest, I don't think anybody can cut your taxes. We can try to limit the tax increases, but trying to cut taxes and.
We'll get the taxes in a second. And the last part of the election thing is, pick up your signs. Can we do something to make somebody, can you put it in the code that you guys got to pick up your election signs? And I don't mean you guys,
Mine's are up.
It is in the code.
Mine's are up.
just be careful when you say everything, because there's
it's
some
hard to
still
get-
floating around.
Mine?
No, I haven't seen yours. I haven't seen yours.
Yeah, it's hard to get them all.
But I'm not even concerned about the people who win, because I think the people who win, I can hold them accountable for it. It's the people who lose that I never see again. So they should pick up their signs, but you can put that in the code.
I have been stopping, so if you
I
see the
can't
town
believe it,
supervisor's car on the side of the road, if I see anybody's, I had a bunch of blown ones.
Yeah, I got a
said,
garage. I picked them blown ones up, and I got a couple of joy, but I pick them up
I
now.
try to pick 'em
Good. Well, that's because you guys are here. These other guys
But
aren't
the
here
problem
anymore.
I find too with these signs is people pick them up when you're running, and then during the course of the year, they take them and put them back in the ground again.
Wait.
Yeah, that's right.
Great
So, I
sign
mean,
conspiracy, is that what that is? It's Sounds like a theory to me.
They just want to play with you. So I mean, that's it. That's what they do.
One other thing to bring up, and I'll bring this up, and I'm sure it's not going to go anywhere. I'm really kind of disheartened at the fact that a town the size of Riverhead, we have arguably the most influential position in this town is the town supervisor. Whoever that town supervisor is, I'm talking in generality now, and then that position is held for 2 years. If someone came into office and was elected and had no knowledge of what was going on inside the town, it'd take them 6 months to find the light switch.
At least.
He knows where all the light switches are.
He does now.
Took me 8.
I just think we have to introduce some sort of legislation, and I know this was introduced a while ago and voted on by the people and was turned down. But it needs to continue to push through because it doesn't make any sense to anybody sitting there. Now, again, I don't agree with Sean all the time on all his issues and the things that he represents, and I'm not even talking about Sean, but anybody in that position needs a lot more than 2 years.
Yeah, but you got to realize that every 2 years, if you want to change the makeup of the board, the majority of the board, you can do that. Because 2 councilmen run and 1 supervisor. So there's always 3 people running. So if you don't like the way the board's going, you can change the makeup of the board in a following election. And if you take account of the towns, Brookhaven is 2 years for the council people too.
That's right.
That's a mistake.
Southampton's 2 years for the supervisor, 4 years for the council people. And I think that's the way people want it out in the East End here. We're not like the West End, and
Well, Southwold's 4 years.
Well, I'll just offer, in my opinion, I think it needs to be a 4-year position.
It's probably, I mean, my opinion has changed because the problem with the 2-year supervisor, and I'd advocate for a 4-year. The problem is, if you look at the history of it's different to be a councilman at 2 years or a state legislator. When you are the CFO, the chief financial officer for the town, having a 2-year supervisor, it doesn't make sense. Because if you look at this town's budget cycles versus election cycles, the taxes go up, and election year they come down, then they go back up, and it makes a very uneven town from a stability, from a tax standpoint. And I don't know. I personally believe that there should be a 4-year term, and it should be term limited, and I think the town board members should be term limited, just like the county, 3 4-year terms.
Southampton has a term limit on the board members.
Well, I'm glad you brought up taxes because that's my last
But I
part,
mean,
and I'll just
Did your
close it
taxes
out.
go down?
No, who knows?
$33.
Whatever.
Yours
Pay
were
it.
$33.
Thank you. Appreciate you watching out for me. I had a Christmas dinner with my brother-in-law who lives in Southampton, and we were talking taxes, and he has a house twice. Yeah, I know. It's right, twice the size of mine, property twice as big, and he pays 1/3 of the taxes. I'm honestly not concerned about it because I know most of our taxes are school taxes. School taxes are one way or the other. This board doesn't control school taxes, so I'm not speaking to the right board. But I will mention a couple of things when I did look at my tax bill, which I find very interesting, and you might like the spin on it. I pay $350 a year for the highway department as far as taxes are concerned. Holy cow, what a deal. These guys have got the hardest job out there. They fight Mother Nature in a losing battle every day. They plow my streets, and I'm only paying $350 a year. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You can give them a little raise if you want. I'll even pay for it. The other part of my taxes is I pay $500 a year for trash pickup.
Nope, $348.
I understand that, but we also had the company switch. I want to say my trash guys are the best I've ever seen anywhere. People from all over the county comment on how great our trash pickup guys are. And I appreciate paying less for it. That's great. However, if service goes down because of this new company, I know the phone number here. I know people have trucks. You're going to get calls, and I want my garbage picked up. But I hope we don't get any turned down in service because these guys are great.
We have protection for that
We hope we
in
don't
the
either.
contract with the new
We're
Carter. So if we
cautiously
have any problems,
optimistic.
we can revert back to Maggio if we had to. So, you know, because they were the second lowest bidder, but unfortunately, when you send it out for a competitive bid, and you get the lowest bidder back, and they're qualified and responsible, which our town attorney's office was very diligent in calling other towns to the Carter to make sure that he was a service-oriented Carter. And the town attorney came back with stellar reports about the carting company that is coming on board as of
Because
January.
no one's better than Juan and Raymond, who picks up my garbage.
I know,
They're
they pick
the
up mine
best.
too.
A lot of their drivers are being picked up by the new company.
Ah,
Yeah.
good. That would make me feel even better.
They're not getting paid as well, but they're getting picked up by the new company.
Very good. Oh, and that's all I really had, except for to wish you guys the most success in 2012, because if you guys have success, Riverhead has success, and we all have success.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Appreciate your indulgence.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, Eric. Anybody else wish to be heard? Can we get a meeting set up, Mr. Romano?
Merry Christmas.
Did we get a meeting?
Not yet.
Okay.
It's no rush. We have another year, so I know you got a lot on your plate. I actually wasn't going to speak today, but and I want to preface either the question or comment or whoever I'm going to propose it, in that I have the utmost respect and admiration of citizen activists who come to the meeting, like like the young lady who spoke. I'm sorry, I forgot her, Dominique. But I also, and I don't know if it was Sean or the board that kind of feels the same way. I've been involved in organizations and associations throughout my life, and I've thrown around, well, I represented Citizens for Economically Affordable Sound Education back in the late 80s, early 90s, when we were having a real tough time with the taxes in the schools and the layoffs. And at the time when we first started the organization, we had about 750 paid members. About a year and a half or 2 years later, although we still were on paper, we might have had about 30 active members. I represent a condo. Several years back, as the president, there was what was called the Condo Association of Riverhead. It was all the condos got together. Same thing. It was for a short period. Memory doesn't serve me correct if we had to kick in a few bucks. But we kind of disbanded. But at the time, the president could come up to you and say, I represent 2,500 people. I guess my comment or my concern is when somebody comes up and says they represent 500, 1,000 people, because that could sway, and it should have importance to the board. You know, if I come up and say I represent 10 people, you might laugh at me. But how, as members who are eventually going to vote on something, how do you in your own minds determine, do you ask actually for a registration of these paid members, active members? Because again, it wouldn't, if I know there's 1,000 paid members of an organization who feel like Dominique does, and I'm sitting up there, it's going to have a little bit more importance if I feel, well, maybe she has 1,000 members, but 900 don't pay. They just signed some sort of form because generically they don't want to see their community change, but they don't know all the intricacies of why it happens. So I guess to kind of wrap it up, do you ask for proof when somebody says I represent so many people?
You know how I do it, and it has nothing to do with proof, and it is something that ties into being a 2-year supervisor. I knocked on almost 5,000 doors the last 2 elections each time, and you want to know the pulse of this town, take 2 months and knock on 5,000 doors. And I knocked on, the only place I've not knocked in Wading River is Remsen Road, and Helga Guthrie was here, she's up in that area, and I just said, that's it, the only place in Wading River, but well, she's up in that little, that little area that I've not, that triangle. But that is the way that I, for one, kind of determine what the residents are looking for, and it's astonishing what they'll tell you. Let's face it, most residents won't talk to you, but the ones that do, it's astonishing. And what's astonishing, too, is so George and I, we were in one of the senior communities, and they were so plugged in on, I think it was Costco, wasn't it Costco they wanted? They were just so plugged in on an issue, and that's how I find out. And so I don't really worry whether somebody says they represent 1,000. I mean, if I did, you know, we wouldn't have, the union is a very large voting block in this town. You know, you have to vote. You don't leave your conscience or your morals at the table.
Yeah,
you vote those.
that's what I was going to say, Steve. I find that whether or not I try to stay involved in the community with different aspects of private things I'm involved in the community, but I really listen. I try to listen to everybody because everybody's voice matters. And then you try to wrestle that in your mind where you personally want to see town go, where they want to see town go, and you try to come up with a sound decision. And you have to live with that. You're not going to please everybody, but it's certainly, I don't govern myself by how many votes I may or may not get. It just comes down to common sense.
You have to do what's good for the town of Riverhead, and you listen to people. And I get out all the time. I meet people at war bombs. I meet people in the diner when I'm having them come over and talk to me. So we're constantly meeting taxpayers of the town of Riverhead, and they're asking us.
Even when they don't want to.
And they're giving us.
I won't know King College. My wife's
And
got
you're
it.
giving us, and you're giving them. They're giving you their opinions, and you listen to these people, and then you come here and you weigh everything, and you have to vote for the town of Riverhead. What's good for the whole town of Riverhead, because we represent the whole town. So you have to vote for what's good for the whole town of Riverhead.
Just one more quick question. The former supervisor, and I don't know if, Sean, you do this, I think he used to go around and occasionally have his own meetings with civics. I know he actually did it with the condo group, and he made it kind of like an issue at one time that he felt the condos were left out. They didn't really have any civics that they belonged to. I don't know if you want to start it up. I mean, there's an ample opportunity to come here and make your opinions known.
I
But
know how Phil felt. Phil felt the condo group they said they represented 2,500 people. So he focused on that 2,500, saying he thought he'd get those 2,500 people to vote for him. So he says, I'm going to go to see these condo groups. But actually, you could have 25, but maybe only 500 vote the way you want them to vote, and the other ones vote independently. And that's how this town works. Each person, they belong to different organizations, but they vote independently. And they vote for how they think you're doing as a job for the town of Riverhead. And basically that's it. You know, we're here for the people. We're not here for a small group that wants to change. We have to listen to that small group where we have to listen to the rest of the people. That's why we walk on election day. And we ask, do you have any questions? What do you want us to do? And they tell us, or they ask us questions. And that's how we find out what the pulse of the town is. And all those people don't vote. But you know, you have to listen, you listen to them all. And you see how they think.
And you'll see a lot of.
We had a very small turnout last.
Actually, it was the same.
You'll see a lot of 3-2 votes and 4-1 votes and stuff like that. So we don't always agree up here either. I mean, which is a good thing also. You don't want to rubber stamp it. But
it's an understatement that we don't always agree.
We don't always agree. And you'll see in the next meeting.
well, on that note, have a happy New Year.
Thank you. And as far as that board is concerned, Steve, we played around that. I do go and see the condo boards when they invite me to the various meetings and everything. So I go to the Civic Association meetings, and the board does the same thing. Any group that invites us, we go and we speak.
Well, you don't feel it's worthwhile to host the meeting here specifically.
I come to the Manufactured Homeowners Association meetings a couple times a year. If there was an umbrella group like you were talking about that existed, yeah, we'd host them here.
Have town hall meetings.
Yeah. Like I said, it's been disbanded for at least 2 or 3 years, so I was just curious.
Yeah. If there was a group that wanted to come here, I would host them, absolutely.
There'd have to be something going on that, irks them a little bit, but right now things are quiet. Yeah.
Not a storming of the Bastille, I hope.
Other than the flushing of the hydrants.
All right, does anybody else wish to be heard? Okay, can I get a motion?
I want to make a motion, but I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Don't drink and drive.
2012 is just around the corner. So everybody have a safe and Happy New Year. And I'd like to call this meeting,
Second, so
make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor, aye.